Hi guys, how you doing? I hope everybody's doing okay. I thought I'd give a little review for this quiz that I posted in this module. It's not too bad. So the first one is a problem about a map. In our map, 1 inch equals 100 miles, and you're using 1/2 inch graph paper, which is kind of big actually, but each little square is a 1/2 inch by a 1/2 inch. And you found out that when you put the graph paper over that map, the country took up about 16 of these little 1/2 by 1/2 inch squares. So what we want to know is what's the area of the country in miles squared. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is figure out how many square inches on the map that the country takes up, right? So each square, right, is 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, right? So that's 1/4 inch squared. So each little square is 1/4 inch squared. We have 16. I don't think I said our country takes up 16 squares. I have to give you that information. Sorry. We have 16 squares. So if we have 16 squares and each square takes up 1/4 inch squares, you can figure out how many inch squares our country is on the map. So the squares cancel out and you just end up with inches squared, and 16 divided by 4 is 4, so you get 4 inches squared. So our country on our map takes up 4 inches squared of this graph paper, okay? So, but now we want to convert that to miles squared. So we know that on our map, 1 inch equals 100 miles, right? So 1 inch squared is equal to 100 miles by 100 miles, right? Which is, I think, 10,000 miles squared. So each inch squared is equivalent to 10,000 miles squared. And so let's see, how many inches squared did we had? We had 4 inches squared. So we just have to multiply that by our 10,000 miles squared divided for 1, that's for 1 inch squared. So the inches squares cancel out. So you just do 4 times 10,000 and you get 40,000 miles squared. So if you do the quiz, it's just different numbers, guys. No big deal. Okay? Hope you're okay. The second question has to do with areas. You don't know what the area of a place is, but you know the perimeter. So if you know the perimeter, can we figure out something about area? Remember we talked about that. You don't know everything, but one thing that you do know, that if you know nothing about shape, like you don't know what shape it is, right? The biggest area, do you guys remember this in class? The biggest area is equal to a circle. That would be the shape that would have the biggest area. So what's the area of a circle, you guys? Remember pi r squared? Remember that? So we know the area of a circle. But if you know the perimeter, that's what the problem gives you. It gives you the perimeter. That's the same thing as a circumference when you're talking about a circle. And do you remember the formula for circumference? It's 2 pi r. Right? So whatever they give you the perimeter, you could say that's equal to 2 pi r. You figure out the r from that, right? That's your unknown. And then take the r, plug it into the area. You get the area formula and you have the area, the biggest area it could be. Okay, so that's part A. Part B, they tell you, you know that in this case it's a rectangular shape. So a rectangular shape, the largest possible area is, equals a square. Remember that? So, draw a square. You know the largest possible area is a square, so the perimeter of the square, to find each side, you just have to take the length is equal to the perimeter divided by 4, right? So whatever, that's supposed to be the L, you guys. So you would find, these are all L's, right? Because it's a square. So you would find the length by just taking the perimeter divided by 4. And what's the area of a square, you guys, or a rectangle? It's just length times width, which in this case, it's the same thing. So whatever you get for this, you would just that times itself, and you get the area. Okay, I hope that helps. I hope you guys are okay. Miss you guys.